Alright, happy birthday to Paul Rudd. I know his birthday was a few days ago, but why not review one of his older movies? That being I Love You Man. It came out in 2009, so it's about 13 years old. That's crazy. A lot has changed in 13 years. 2009 was definitely an era for movies, probably, for sure. So, why not review? You're probably thinking to yourself, why not review Ant-Man? But why not review I Love You Man? So it's about Paul Rudd. He plays a character named Kevin, and I'm just gonna refer to him as Paul Rudd because why not? And basically, it's about this man who is going through a routine. He has a salesmanship job. He's about to get married to his wife, but before that, he wants to do a few things. He realizes he doesn't have many friends besides his wife and her girlfriends, basically. And so Paul Rudd basically is going to try to find many friends. He reaches out to his friend Robbie. His cousin, nephew, I don't know. He's played by Andy Samberg, and basically he helps him try to find friends. I don't think it really goes well until he meets Jason Segel's character. Jason Segel, if you don't know, he's more in like the comedy movies. I don't know what movies he's in lately, but the only movie I really remember him in was The Muppets. That was a really good movie he was in. And I did see him in another Paul Rudd movie. That was a while ago. I think Jason Segel was more the character in that movie. I think Paul Rudd just had a brief appearance. Yeah, that movie was very inappropriate, by the way. And so this movie's also rated R, and there's nothing really offensive in this. There's some sexual humor in this. Like, there's like a bunch of jokes that probably kids wouldn't really want to hear. Well, I think parents wouldn't want their kids to hear, basically. And there is a puke scene in this where Paul Rudd goes out partying. He ends up puking on one dude. Everything goes well until he pukes because he's so drunk. And so basically, as Paul Rudd is getting along with Jason Segel's character, they basically go on this like a sort of journey where they're just kind of just hanging out. They're living the life, not making everything so boring. I think they lash out at random civilians while they're at some beach park or something. And Paul Rudd, he's wearing his professional clothes, while Jason Segel's just wearing whatever. So that scene's kind of funny, I guess. It just shows that you can stand up to people. If they're being rude to you, you just run up to them and just scream at them. I'm not saying you should do that, but you do you. But yeah. So there's not much else I can really say about this movie. It was a fine Paul Rudd movie. Like, I found most Paul Rudd movies. I watched most of his adult movies. Because back in the summer, I would watch all his movies. And I wanted to see this movie. Even my teacher recommended this movie, I Love You Man. But I couldn't find it. I think it was on Hulu for a while. But then it just got removed for whatever reason. But then I asked for it for Christmas last year. And I finally got it and I watched it. And I could see this just being like an adult movie any parent could watch, and they can just have it in their movie collection, and then their kid finds it and they're like, ooh, what's this? For me, I view this as a Paul Rudd movie because I've collected his movies, and you're probably wondering why I didn't review Anchorman. I don't know, maybe if I hit 1,000 subs, but we'll see. So yeah, this movie ain't really funny to me. It was just a typical kind of movie. Like, most movies I see are just like superhero movies, big blockbuster movies. For this is like a simple movie you could watch. There's like a bunch of familiar actors in it. We also get Lou Ferrigno. If you don't know Lou Ferrigno, he plays the Hulk in like the old Hulk show back in the 80s, I'm pretty sure, or something. So that was neat. It shows how the guy's even strong, even in this movie. And Yeah, I think we get some legendary actors for sure. And I think towards the end of the movie, Paul Rudd and Jason Segel get into a fight where I think Jason Segel is putting like embarrassing billboards. Paul Rudd gives him $8,000, which he was going to use for his wedding, but instead Jason Segel uses it to make a bunch of billboards. And his wife, Paul Rudd's wife, fiance, gets mad at him because she doesn't like how he spent the money, he wasn't aware of it, and she feels that he isn't spending as much time with her. Like, even when Jason Segel calls Paul Rudd and it's just like, hey man, you want to go to a concert? Paul Rudd's like, oh, I'm watching TV with my wife, it's Sunday, and he goes, you can watch it whenever you want. And then they go to the concert. Honestly, the fiance character was alright. Like, she doesn't do too much in this movie other than I think she just worries for Paul Rudd's character, Kevin. And so I think at the end, they do forgive each other. They all work it out, and then they have the wedding. And Paul Rudd even has this one older man. I forget the actor's name, and I don't know why, but I love this scene where like his character says like, Paul Rudd asks him, he's like, hey, you got any plans? He goes, I'm 81. What plans do I got? And then I think he invites him to the wedding because Paul Rudd's trying to find his best man. He ends up giving Andy Samberg becoming the best man, but I think it ends up being Jason Segel. And they have the wedding, and then the movie ends, and that's I Love You Man. So, like I said, this is just a fine movie. I'd probably give it maybe a high 6 out of 10. So, have you seen I Love You Man? And happy birthday to Paul Rudd. Maybe next year I'll review another one of his movies. Or maybe just do a simple, fun video with Paul Rudd. Maybe one day I'll tell you why I love Paul Rudd. So with that said, thanks for watching, and see you guys next time.